go. Another episode.
Yes, sir.
Play the intro. What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going better than it has been the last couple days. I've been sick.
My
As shit.
boy been sick. Damn.
Yeah, man. This should be called episode sick.
Ah.
Yeah,
getting canceled off of bad jokes. No, but you're feeling better now, right?
Yeah, finally.
I'm glad, bro. I'm glad.
I think in the next couple days I'll probably be back at 100.
Hell yeah. It always sucks when you get sick, especially if it comes out of the blue.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes you'll just go out when it's hella cold and you can already feel like, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be all kinds of messed up. But when it just
I'm gonna be screwed up.
Yeah. You just feel it.
How have you been though, man?
Been good, bro. Been good. Haven't been sick.
Right.
Maybe sick in the mind, but I guess that's all. No, but been good, luckily. You do have some good news.
Yeah.
That we shared on socials, but I want you to bring it up on the podcast because you got a placement, my guy.
Oh man, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, bro.
I got a placement with Mr. Fab and Rick Ross.
Hell yeah. Mad congrats
Yeah,
to
man.
you, my bro.
Thank you, bro. It's about time. I'm glad that I finally got a placement after all these years of producing. It's taken me 15 years, but I finally got here.
Damn, bro. I mean, some people take longer than that. Some people get luckier early on, but
Yeah.
I guess in the end, it really comes down to what your goals are.
Yeah, true.
Did you expect to get a placement out of all of the artists that would be one of your first ones?
No, I really didn't. But that's really dope to have like that level of a placement. That's my first major placement.
The track is really dope. It does.
Oh man, it's amazing. I love that beat too.
Yeah, the beat
love
is
that
fire.
beat.
It definitely is a you and Pain beat.
Yeah.
It just has that type of sonority. No, but the track came out amazing. I definitely didn't see it coming.
Yeah, me neither. Surprise.
Surprise. No, but that's dope. That's dope. And I wanted to give you the congrats.
Thanks, bro.
And yeah, everyone, if you still haven't, go check that track out.
And you know what's crazy about that track? Is that me and Payne made that beat in like 2016.
Damn, so it was like 6 years ago.
Super, super old beat.
Damn.
Yeah.
And do you know how the whole placement came to be? Like, did they buy your beat on?
I think actually Payne knows Mr. Fab. From what I understand, like they have a relationship that goes back many years. So I think he probably sent the beat out in like a beat pack or something to him, and that's how he got a hold of the beat.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely cool.
Yeah.
It's always really dope when you hear these stories about people getting placements with beats that are really old. Like they've had it in the folders for ages and they get picked up.
Right.
I feel like that in part is why a lot of producers still keep like a lot of their older beats on their catalog because they never know if they're just going to be picked up eventually.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. It's like people get on old beats that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it was a really cool news.
Yeah. And I completely forgot about it. Like, you was like, hey, we got good news. What? Huh?
You do? I mean, I don't have good news. Like, I haven't gotten any placement.
Well, yeah.
No, but it's always dope to see the homies win. You've definitely been having it coming. Proud of you, my guy.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Just wanted to share it and bring it up on the podcast for anyone who didn't know.
Now you know.
Now you know. Mr. Fab and Rick Ross, go check out the track produced by Dar'rell Banks and DJ Pain 1. And show love. Go on social media and show love.
Yes, please do that.
Yeah, bro. That's a good way of starting a podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Hyped up. What we got today?
Ah, a great topic.
We're going technical today. Yeah.
Super technical.
Super.
And the funny part is, it's not that technical for me.
and the even better part is, I don't know squat about this.
Nah, I think you know more than you're letting on.
Maybe. We're talking about It's probably on the title. We're probably talking about arranging, mixing, and mastering. The technical part of making a song or a beat. Or
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah, where to begin?
It's been a really different process for me over the years. I feel like it's been super complex, then super simple, then complex, then simple again. Like it goes kind of back and forth with me. At least when it comes to mixing.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is with you. I know you've always kept it kind of simple.
Yeah. I mean, when I first got into learning about mixing and mastering, that was like the time where I kind of went the most crazy because I was just following too many people's advice. So I thought you
Yeah.
had to do a whole lot, and you got to add 10 billion plugins and 10 billion compressors and EQs and all this surgical stuff. Like
Yeah.
now, but once I got past that point, now I just keep it super simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the exact same. There's so many tutorials. There's so many different ways of going about mixing whatever it is you're mixing. That as someone who's starting or trying to get better at it, you just get lost and do it all at once.
Yeah, you do too much. Like less is more.
You gotta do these types of compression. You just throw 30 compressors on the same track out. I guess it makes sense to just start with the arrangement of a beat, right? Or maybe the mixing. I don't know. What do you do first when creating a beat? Because it has been different for me than it is now.
Well, first I arrange, get the beat together, arrange, then I mix, then master. That's my process. Like I know some people like mix as they go along, or some people even put like a mastering plugin while they're making the beat and stuff like that. But yeah, that's usually my process.
When you go to mixing though, so you'll construct a full beat
Yeah.
and then you mix.
Yep.
The usual advice everyone or the most common advice that you'll hear is to mix at the part where it's the busiest.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what you do? You just go to the busiest part of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. After I'm done arranging, then I go to like the hook part and then mix that.
This is assuming that the hook part will be the busiest. Because a lot of times the hooks will be very simple in comparison to the actual beat. Let's say the hook won't have drums for some reason, like you're going that route.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, I'm saying, but like 90% of the time for me, the hook is always the busiest part. I mean, with the exception of a few different beats where it might not be. But yeah, wherever the busiest part is, yeah, that's what I mix.
But see, that's exactly how my process was. And I don't remember when it changed or why it changed. Nowadays, I'll mix first and then I'll actually arrange the beat. So what I do is I'll basically have all of the track outs put together
Mm-hmm.
and I'll mix off of that. Even if there's never gonna be a point in the beat where they're all gonna be together, which most of the times they won't. So let's say I have 20 track outs. There'll probably be one section of the song that'll have like 10 to 15 of them. But I'll still mix them all together and then throughout the beat, once that's mixed and throughout the beat as I arrange it, then I might give a couple of adjustments on specific track outs or maybe automations. Simply because it eases in the process because to me mixing is so boring. I just hate it. I
Why
hate.
do you find it boring? Like what is boring to it? Because it's not creating anything.
Not necessarily. Maybe boring is not the word because there are parts where like going into mixing with automation and stuff can get very creative and very exciting. But I don't like mixing. I don't know if it's because I feel like I never get my mixes just to the point of where I want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I feel like a mix is great, I always second guess my mixes. I always like listen to them either on day while I'm making the beat or weeks later, and I never really enjoy my mixes as I probably enjoy yours or other producers that I listen to.
Right.
And so to me, it becomes sort of this task because I'll run into so many blocks at certain points. Like the kick isn't hitting for some reason, and I've done what I should, and then I have to like maybe change the kick or whatever it is. And so it sort of creates this block into the whole process of making the beat. And that's why I make the beat, all of the creative part of it. I mix it before arranging it because it's like a pause on the creative end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll get back into arranging the beat because, like I mentioned before, I really enjoy arranging beats because it's where I can get into the details of a track. And I really enjoy getting into the details of the track because I don't want like the first 16 bars to sound the exact same as the second 16 bars. Sometimes there's this little chop in the drums that'll just make a difference.
Yeah, that's true.
It just brings the beat in.
I can tell by listening to your beats like you're an arrangement freak
Yeah.
in a good way. Like you really go into the details of making sure that stuff is different and flows in a really cool way. Like you do some really cool stuff with your like arrangements.
I don't know why that is though. I don't know if it's because I've always been like that. Even when I started making beats, I think the first time I ever started going so much into detail with the arrangement, which was actually with our first collab of a beat called Crisis.
Wow, you still remember the name.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
No,
It
but
was our first time.
yeah. But I really got into detail with that, and I think that at that time I went into detail with that arrangement specifically because it was my first collab. I was excited about it being my first collab. I was excited about the beat. The beat sounded great, and I wanted to like give it my all and not feel like you were collaborating with some dude who didn't know squat of what he was doing, I guess. So it was kind of a challenge to me, and I started integrating that into my discipline. So every time I make a beat, even if the beat is super simple, I try to go into the details of it just to spice it up a bit.
Yeah, that's dope that our collab led to that process of you getting into that.
Yeah, it actually is.
Look at the power of collaboration, baby.
Yeah, the part of collaboration. But it was. Maybe I would have gotten that type of discipline in my workflow throughout the months or the years. But I know that what led me into it initially was that collab specifically.
That's dope. But that still boggles my mind your workflow process with just like having the track outs and then mixing and then arranging. I never thought about doing it like that.
I think more people do it like that. Because
So I guess I'm the weirdo then, huh?
no, I think your way, which was also the way I used to do it, might be the most common way. Because it does make sense. Like there's no real point. There might be, but there's no real point in mixing them all together if they're not all going to be together at any point of the track. But it's just the way I do it. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the only
it's
real
just a new idea for me. I haven't even thought about approaching it that way.
the only thing it real changed to me. I don't think it changed my mixes per se, but what it did change was the workflow of it. Like it felt more natural and more and quicker to wrap up the track. Because the thing is, I don't create. So I use Machine and Studio One, and I use Machine to create the beat, to program the drums, come up with the melodies, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Then I bounce out the track outs from Machine over to Studio One, and that's where I actually mix, arrange, and master the track.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I transfer everything from Machine to Studio One, I always will start with all of the tracks in one place. And so to me, it's just easier to set everything on the right on the right buses, set the effects change that I need to set, and just mix everything. And if it sounds great when it's all together, I know it'll sound great throughout the beat. And that's when I get to like the mastering phase of it. That's when I start going into the details of adjusting if needed.
So, like, when it comes to mixing, like, what is your process there? Because for me, I usually start by leveling everything out first, getting my levels to where I want them. Then I'll do like a little bit of EQ, maybe some delay and reverb, and then pretty much that's it for me. I'm calling it a day after that. For real, that's like I keep it super duper simple. I think you probably do more than that.
I do a lot. I don't think I do that much, but I do a lot more than what you really only do EQ.
Yeah, literally.
Don't
Like
you even like sidechain the bass and kick?
I don't even sidechain that no more.
Damn, you're living on the edge.
The only thing that I've recently started to incorporate is like clippers for like my kick or snare or something like that.
Hmm.
That's it. And other than that, it's just leveling, EQ, reverb, and some delay, and maybe some distortion here and there, depending on like a bass or whatever.
But that's during the mixing phase.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's say you're picking out a piano and etc.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question might be dumb because I'm going about it in a different way. When it comes to sound design, you don't manipulate the sounds in any way before getting into the mixing part of it.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes, like if I'm really trying to get creative with a certain type of sound, then I'll, do some type of weird stuff to it. But for the most part, nah. Like I keep it mad simple, bro. Like I try to pick the sounds I want off the bat, so then I don't have to go in and try to manipulate it and fix it up.
That makes me mad. I mean, less is more, and if it works, it works. Because your track sounds clean every time, so definitely what you're doing works. But I'm doing a lot more than all that. But to me, it's not as much because I'm working with templates at this point. So I came down to like the effects chain that I know works for me and how I like it and all that. It's on a template. As soon as I start a project, just boot up the template, set everything up, and it's good. But in terms of mixing, I will EQ tracks if need be. I do sidechain my kick and bass. Obviously, I have like a bus for my delay and a bus for my reverb, and I'll just send tracks there accordingly to how much I want them to. And I guess the only thing I really do more than you do is having a drum bus and a instrument bus where I glue them together. So the drums will have a compressor and maybe an RC20 to make them sound a bit more warm, saturator.
Yeah.
And then the instruments will also have a compressor and maybe some EQ. And that's pretty much it in terms of mixing. So I just want to make sure that the drums don't sound loose. So that's where I bring them together, and the same for the instruments. And then I'll also sidechain my kick to the instrument bus and my snare as well sometimes, sort of to give it a subtle more breathing room for the kick and snare, depending on the type of beat. So if I want a beat to hit harder, that's where I'll bring some extra room for the kick to breathe in. And yeah, but it'll be more or less like for lo-fi, for example. It's very known that the kick will sort of create that sidechain effect,
Yeah.
and that's where obviously I make it less subtle. But I guess that's more of what I do mixing in comparison to you.
Yeah. I'm not doing all that bus stuff. And you know what's funny? I don't even use like reverb and delay sends. I just put reverb and delays on each of the channels.
Nothing wrong with that. The only reason I do the sends.
That side was like,
No. It wasn't that because I did it the exact same way, and I'll do that if I want a different type of reverb on a specific track. So let's say I'm using a subtle open space reverb for my send bus,
mhm,
but I want the reverb for a specific like a rim shot to be super close quarters. Then I'll actually add a specific reverb to that track out. The only reason I started using delay and reverb sends was because it just saves up the CPU usage.
yeah, for sure.
Because instead of having 10 reverbs, I just have the one.
Right. It makes sense, but I don't even do it though.
But you're living on the edge, and you're doing everything
Yeah.
in the same DAW. Like the way I have it, I'll have machine handle the instruments and Studio One handles the effects. So at least in that way, I can split the CPU usage.
Yeah.
So that's where I gain some breathing room. You're doing it all on the same on the same DAW, and you're still repeating all of the
Yeah,
effects
the
and such.
effects. Yeah. But see, the reverbs and delays aren't like CPU intensive, so I could just do that for days without it really causing too much of an issue.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I'm not using anything pretty much outside of stock. I mean, I do use like third party reverbs and stuff, but that's here and there. That's
Mhm.
more so like for a creative effect. But most of the time, it's just stock stuff.
That's maybe where you'll win, because most of what I use is third party plugins, and Native Instruments third party plugins are hella brutal on CPU,
Yeah.
bro.
Don't I know?
It'll mess your shit up.
Very quick.
But I feel like also the workflow when it comes to sounds is a lot different in FL, right? It's a lot more less natural. At least I feel like I've had this conversation before with someone who uses FL. You have to go through a whole hoops and loops just to get sounds to work. Maybe I'm
Uh,
mistaken with something.
I mean, to me, it's natural. So I think it's fine. Yeah, I don't think it's hard to set up. You just create a bus and you just route the tracks you want to it, and you have a knob where you can adjust the amount, like the dry and wet or whatever.
I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, you don't know nothing about FL Studio.
I started on FL Studio. That's what a lot of people. I talk a lot of smack about FL. I don't. My issue isn't really necessarily FL. I just think that FL is unnecessarily complex to use compared to all other DAWs.
Yeah, I guess that's true in a way.
I started on FL. I made beats on FL for 6 months probably. I jumped to Ableton. I made beats on Ableton for another 6 months to a year. And the transition wasn't seamless. They definitely have a lot of different workflows, but I felt a lot like it was easier on Ableton. And then I went to Studio One, and Studio One was basic. Like using Studio One is just easy in comparison. And I remember at some point, I think it was Space Beats, challenged me to make a beat on FL after I had used FL like ages ago.
Oh boy.
Bro, I used Studio One for the first time. I made a beat in the same day. Took me like half a day or something. I went back to make a beat on FL 2 years after I started on FL, and I couldn't find my ass on it. I was lost. I whatever I had learned on FL, I had completely forgotten because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it definitely is different
And again,
for sure.
I made beats on FL, so it's not impossible to learn. However,
Nah, just the whole workflow does not operate like every other
no,
DAW.
and it's okay if a DAW is different. I just feel like it's way too complex for what it needs to be. And maybe it's just because I never went into the nitty gritty of it. Maybe once you do get into the details of how it works and all that, it's a lot more natural than I made it out to be. But from a starter perspective, it feels unnecessarily hard, considering all the other DAWs and their workflows.
I don't know. All I've used is FL Studio my entire life, so it's
But you've used different DAWs.
I have, but not like that.
Well, that's fair.
Like I tried to get into Cakewalk. I still have it on my computer actually. I need to start using it again. Cakewalk is pretty good for a free DAW.
I never got into that.
It's just that this is the thing of trying to move from that FL Studio workflow over to something different. It's just the way it works is completely different.
But why are you testing out other DAWs? Just to learn them, or
Yeah, just to learn it and try to get out of the FL Studio habit so that if I learn another DAW, I can take that and apply that knowledge to other things. So like if I wanted to use like Cakewalk has more like a workflow akin to like a Studio One or something. So if I learn Cakewalk, then I can take the same principles and apply it to Studio One if I ever had a session with somebody or something like that.
so you don't get baffled if the
Right. So I
opportunity comes?
wouldn't get thrown off like, oh, I have no idea how this works.
Yeah, I mean, Studio One, I think it's very similar to, I could be wrong, but at first sight, it feels similar to Pro Tools, Logic, maybe Cakewalk. I don't recall how the interface is for Cakewalk. But it is definitely a good push to understand other DAWs just in case you get into a studio and you need to know them. If I got into a studio and I had to know about FL, I would be screwed.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
They would doubt me as a producer, like, and the second marked as a poser. And again, no shade against FL. I talk a lot of smack, but I don't really hate FL. It's just that pet peeve of mine. But I started on FL, and I went relentless to try and understand FL for years until I finally got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays I'm not going back.
Come on back to the dark side, baby.
I'm good where I am. I'm on Studio One and Machine, and that's all I need.
But yeah, let's talk about mastering. What is your process for that? Because again, I'm super simple when it comes to that too. All I do
It's
Just
a sound goodizer.
hell no, get out of here. Hell no, crazy. All I do is use ozone, a brick wall limiter. Just turn that motherfucker up. I don't even do no EQ, no compression. I don't do no saturation. I don't do no tape plugins and all that.
Okay, but what are you using for ozone though? Just their limiter? Because ozone, you're using ozone elements, I assume.
No, I got the
Oh, you
full
got the
version
full
of
version.
ozone. Yeah, I got
Okay.
ozone 9. Yeah. So mostly all I'm using is just the maximizer. That's it.
So you're not in you're using because I know the good thing, and I don't use it as is, but the good thing about the elements is that it also has the EQ and it'll automatically figure shit out for you.
Yeah.
And I don't use the automatic function, but sometimes I will just to pinpoint what it feels like it might be wrong, just to compare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's the only EQ I really use within my mastering. Because for mastering, again, I do more than you, and maybe unnecessarily. But for mastering, I'll do a mid to side EQ, which basically just splits the low end channels and the mid to high channels. So I'll center the lows and I'll spread out the mids and highs. And that was a huge deal for me because when I started doing that and comparing my old beats where I didn't use that, my older beats sounded super boxy. Like they weren't muffled or anything, but they didn't felt that stereo wise.
Yeah, like open sounding.
Yeah. So it definitely
Yeah.
helps me. I'll do some multi-band dynamics just to like assert a couple of things. And then then I'll use a limiter. I'll either use Ozone's limiter or Tone Booster's limiter. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, you don't do too much then. It's not like a whole crazy process, but it's definitely more than what I do.
But it also depends on the beat. If I want to go on a very old school sound beat, I might add a. It's not a saturator. I forget what the name is, but it basically mimics, like, I guess it might be a saturator in a way.
An exciter.
Nah, I use that sometimes, but not as much. It's from Waves. It's not vinyl, but it's something from. I forget the name of it, but basically it just adds some actual. It acts as a saturator for your beat, and it adds some warmth to the beat. And you can also add vinyl scratches and all that. So it really depends on the beat. Like I mentioned with mixing, if it's a lo-fi, I'll add the side chain of the beat of the kick to hit a lot harder. Your process does never change with the style you're going with.
No, not really.
Yeah, I hate you. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit this bitch.
The only thing that might change is the amount of
You're gonna piss me off even more.
the amount of limiting that I put on it.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing that'll change.
That's another thing. I remember we had this talk where I had the limiter already hitting a lot, and you were like, "This needs to be even louder." I was like, "Bro, what do I need?" Like, if I boosted the limiter even more, like the feedback would be insane. And it just led me to think, like, what are you doing with your limiters?
I'm cranking it, baby.
Like,
Cranking
god
it.
damn.
Loud and proud.
Yeah, just threshold of minus 25 dB. God damn.
That's how you get that maximum crunch.
Have mine at minus 10, and sometimes I feel like that's way too much.
I do have to ask though about your mixing because I've noticed this when we've done collabs, is that your mixes will be hella low. Like I thought I mixed low, but man, you be having instruments hitting at -18. I'm like, what? What? How do you hear this? What?
Okay, so this was a phase, though. This was a phase. I
Okay,
stopped doing that.
okay.
I've listened to your concerns and I stopped. No, but I remember saying something about mixing lower rather than louder and louder. So instead of the -7 to -10, like go even lower than that.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to try that out. I think the reasoning behind it was that it would give you even more room for the master and you could make it. I don't recall exactly what it was. Ultimately, it didn't make that much of a change. It only meant that my stems were super low in comparison.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try it out and see if it actually affected the final product. And I don't think it really did. So I just stopped doing that after a while. And now I'm just doing the usual -7 to -10 dB.
I don't think mixing low actually changes that much. The reason I like mixing low when I do it is just for that extra headroom. So like if I have a kick and a snare hitting at the same time, it won't peak, it won't clip or nothing. Or if I have a lot going on, I have a tons of headroom to work with. But good thing you stopped doing that because it was annoying.
No, it was stupid. It was just stupid. I don't know what led me to do that, but yeah, it was. Again, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I had to hit normalize on everything.
But it really depends on also the amount of tracks that you got. Because I'll be working with 10 to 15 tracks. Yeah, between 10 and 15 is probably the usual with drums and all. But when I get to a collab and and the collab gets crazy and all of a sudden there's almost 40 track outs, I start sweating.
Sweating bullets.
Yeah, when it comes to mixing it all, do you have it hard when it's a lot of track outs?
Not necessarily because in my own beats I have quite a lot of tracks, so I'm kind of used to it. Like for me, typically on my beats, I'm gonna have like at least 20 plus tracks easily because I don't group stuff. I know a lot of people group stuff together. So instead of like if they have three separate snares, they'll bust three snares to one track, and that'll be the snare. For me, I keep everything separate. So if I have three snares, it's going to be three separate tracks. So that can easily add up to a lot of tracks. So
That's fair.
the only thing about having more tracks for me is just that it takes a little bit longer to mix everything.
The only situations where I actually get if I have three snares, it's if I just decide to design them together. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
mix them
yeah.
together. But otherwise, I'm the exact same. If I'm working with three different snares, I'm probably gonna mix them separately.
Yeah, I feel like you have more control that way too.
Yeah, because sometimes you're using more than one snare because of the different sounds that they each bring. One has a bit more of that mid-low range, whereas the others have another crispiness in the higher frequencies, and that's what you want to preserve. While having them all together might fuck it up. I would probably
Yeah,
fuck it up.
true.
I fuck it up even if they're not together. So I don't know. You know what's not fucked up though?
Our sponsorship, baby.
Hell yeah, our BeatStars sponsor.
BeatStars.com.
There it is. That's what I was waiting for. BeatStars.com sponsoring us yet again. I don't know till when because I don't know how far along we're going to go. BeatStars is sponsoring us once again. Thank you very much, BeatStars. If you don't know what BeatStars is, they're a digital music marketplace where you can buy, sell beats, sound kits, services, hooks if you're a musician, for example. You can even get creative and sell design work if you're not just a producer. So it's very open to sell whatever it is as a creative. BeatStars basically gives you the opportunity to get your music out for other artists and producers and make a living off of it. So great examples of this would be big song placements that you've heard before, like Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, CJ's Whoopty, and Soldier Boy's She Make It Clap, which went viral on TikTok recently. And yeah, there's placements like these every single week going on. You can check out BeatStars Publishing on Instagram as well to stay on top of those types of releases if you want to get inspired. Maybe one day our boy Dar'rell will be on there as well. So yeah, make sure you check out BeatStars if you want to get your music out. And as a gift, you can get the first 30 days free off of your subscription. So make sure you go to beatstars.com/sell-beats and use the coupon code checkpoint in order to get your first 30 days free off of your BeatStars subscription. Yeah, bro. BeatStars.com.
BeatStars.com.
They do have publishing too.
Yes, they do.
And we know how much publishing is a pain in the... I've personally been with BeatStars Publishing. It definitely helped me from getting out of that craziness of where to sign to track all my tracks and all that.
Yeah.
But it is dope that BeatStars offers not only their main platform with music selling and all of that, but they also offer publishing, which they have a collaboration with Sony Music Publishing, which is really dope. So there's an even bigger stamp of approval there. They also offer distribution, so you don't even need to. Basically, you can have everything on BeatStars, so you don't even have to go crazy. Like, oh, I'm gonna sell my beats on BeatStars and have to distribute my music elsewhere and get my publishing in an even weirder place. You can just have it all there. That's really dope.
Nah, it really is though. BeatStars has been they do so much to help out. They have so much dope features like having the publishing, bro. Who else does that?
And they didn't just decide to do publishing. They went all the way around of getting it in collaboration with Sony Music Publishing.
Right, right.
So whenever they try to do something or they do something, they do it big. And it's crazy how the more the years go by, the more they add into it, the more self-sufficient it becomes. You just have everything in one place.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to what they're gonna have next. And I know you know about it.
I don't know shit.
Uh-huh.
I don't
You
know
know everything.
anything. I don't
You
know
be keeping
anything.
secrets, bro.
I don't know anything. But there is a lot of dope stuff coming in, so stay tuned. If you want to, our listeners, if you want to stay on top of anything BeatStars and be one of the first users to use whatever new features might be coming, go check out BeatStars. It's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully we can see something soon enough or share something soon enough. Possibly a lot of those things might have already come out by the time this episode goes out. Who knows?
Yeah, most likely.
It would be cool. What are some features on BeatStars that you like the most and that you feel like there still aren't there that you would love to see there?
Hmm. That's a good question, man.
I know.
Honestly, I would really have to think about that.
I'm a good interviewer. What can I say?
Man,
I'm here to
this
replace
is
Jimmy
supposed to be
Fallon.
a podcast, not an interview cast.
I mean, it is sort of an. I don't know. I guess.
One of the things I definitely say I like off bat is the pro page. That's awesome. Like that, man, to have your own website, dope.
Yep.
The other thing which I like, which I haven't used yet, but it'd be cool to eventually use it, is the whole merch aspect that
Yeah,
you can
the
do the
printful
merch thing.
integration. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fire to be able to sell your own merch.
at no cost, really. I mean, obviously, Printful, which is the platform that's integrated with BeatStars, takes a big percentage of it. Not a big percentage, but it takes a percentage of it. But still, you don't have any
But still, the
costs.
fact that you can do your merch through, a beat selling site,
No, one hundred
like that's
percent.
that's a whole different, level of things.
Yeah, all you
So
need is
yeah, that's
is to
probably
actually set up and add the designs, and you're good to go.
yeah, that's fire. But yeah, those are probably like the two things I really like the most. I mean, but I like everything about BeatStars, but those are the things that really stick out to me that I can think of right now.
They added collab playlists a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that, but it's dope because basically you can have playlists together with other producers. So let's say instead of me adding my beats and your beats into my playlist, you can also be a moderator to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's pretty fire. I still have to get used to the whole playlist thing. Like that's something I'm slacking on for real. Even on YouTube, like I just because it's just the part of getting all the beats together and putting them in a playlist. Like it's just that time it takes. You got to set aside that time to do it.
And the longer you wait, the worse it'll get because the more
Oh
beats.
yeah, right. Especially with somebody like me who's posting, pretty much every day. So yeah, I gotta get on it though,
Get to
because
it.
that's super useful. Because
No,
if
it
an
is.
artist likes a certain style of your beats, then you put it all in that playlist. They have a whole playlist to go through.
Yeah,
They don't have to just like feel like they're just randomly going through stuff to find something they like.
and you can filter by whatever you can do. Type beats, instrument related, so guitar beats and genre
Yeah,
beats. So that's cool. Definitely is worth checking into playlists. And BeatStars themselves have playlists, official playlists that you can try to get into. And if you can get into them, it's really dope because it does give you a good boost in plays, even follows and such.
yeah. Thankfully, I have been blessed. Thank you, BeatStars, for adding me to some playlists.
Yeah, the playlister is amazing. You have been having some dope beats on there. We've had a couple of. There was this collab of ours that got into a playlist. I think it was a Nicki Minaj playlist, and that beat blew off because of it.
Yeah.
And the beat is dope. I'm not shitting on the beat or anything, but I was kind of surprised that that beat did so well, especially that beat being in a Nicki Minaj playlist.
Yeah.
So it was a cool surprise.
Yeah, I think we might have had a couple collabs on playlists before, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
But
we've had a few. You had a few, but it was that specific one that kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
I wasn't expecting. Out of all of the collabs that we had, I never expected that to be the one to sort of blow up, so to say. But it is cool. It is cool, and it's a cool notification to just get on and play. BeatStars added your beats to your playlist. Like that's cool. That stamp of approval, you know.
Surprise.
Surprise. Yeah. But in terms of features that you feel like would be missing, did you ever come across anything?
Now, see, that's something I would really have to sit down and think about. I really don't know right now,
That's fair.
but I'm sure I could think of something. I mean, what about you? Is there something you think that? Well, then again, you're on the inside, so
Yeah. I don't know if I should say anything because even if it's a suggestion of mine, I don't want to open up the room of it being like a hint that it might happen.
yeah,
No, there's definitely a few things I feel like we can still. There's always, when it comes to creativity and people coming together, especially the producer communities as it is, there's still so much you can always add to improve the platform, you know. It really comes down to what most people want.
you know what? I just thought about it.
All right. What?
There needs to be a fitness section on BeatStars.
All right.
You're laughing, but I'm dead serious.
No, I'm not.
There needs to be some type of fitness integration
Okay.
when it comes to BeatStars because that's something that's very overlooked is our health and well-being. Even though I know BeatStars does tackle like mental health and stuff like that, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
mental health awareness for sure, but like the physical aspect of eating proper, working out, taking care of your body. I think it would be dope if it was some type of fitness integration in there. I don't know how that would work or what it would be necessarily, but I think that would be kind of cool. Even if it's like some type of challenges they did or some type of little easy fitness program, or maybe if you achieved a certain challenge, you unlock a certain amount of credits. Like walk for 10 minutes a day, you get maybe like a couple credits or something like that.
Bro, that's actually a really good idea, though. I'm not gonna lie. I left initially only because it's you.
It sounds yeah, it sounds kind of ludicrous.
No, you could have said the most obviously great thing, and I would still laugh in your face, only because it's you. No, but that is actually a great that is actually a great idea because like we talked about a previous episode, mental health and even physical health is something that we producers tend to overlook a lot since we have such a closed in environment when we do what we do. So having that type of incentive would make a lot of sense. Like getting credits back for
Getting something that'll incentivize people to move or do
yeah,
something. It doesn't have to be nothing crazy like doing 10,000 push-ups or nothing, but just little simple things go a long way.
doing 1,000 push-ups in a day. Nothing crazy like that.
Yeah, you know what it feels like. Well, you know you don't because uh,
Fuck you.
you dropped out.
Fuck you. Nah, that ain't fair at all. Like a few months ago, I was still going strong with working out. I didn't. It was before I stopped, and Dar'rell decided to suggest, "Yo, let's do a workout together via fucking Zoom," because he's in the U.S. and I'm in Portugal. And he decides to say, "Yo, let's do a workout together," and I'm in. Cool, like why not? Let's do 1,000 push-ups. Now, in my mind, I feel like 1,000 push-ups is obviously a lot. But I'm not thinking 1,000 push-ups is gonna take that long. It's gonna be tough and all, but it's not gonna take that long. After an hour, we were barely hitting 200, and I was already tired. Like I was exhausted already. Because again, Darrell does calisthenics every single day. I was always more on the weightlifting end of things, and calisthenics will rip you apart. I had to jump out because I can't. First of all, it was already an hour afterwards, and not even or 200. I think I tapped out at 250. I tapped out. I said I'm gonna go take a bath and take a shower and eat and do my things. 3 or 4 hours later, I hit up Dar'rell and he's still going at the push-ups. 4 hours later. So this means he's been 5 hours into doing push-ups. And he wasn't still done. I think that when I hit you up, you were like 800 and something.
Yeah, I was going at it for a good minute.
So you took essentially 6 to 7 hours of your day to do push-ups. And you were about to drag me into that. And I was stupid enough to not think it would take that long, but you were dragging me into that. 6 to 7 hours in a day to do push-ups.
It wasn't that long. You're
Fuck you, it was
exaggerating.
that. I'm not exaggerating. You
No,
might have taken breaks
no.
in between. I don't know anything about that, but it was that long. That's almost a fucking work day.
Eh. Hey, you got to put in the work.
Bro, no. That's not putting in
Bro,
the work. That's
yes.
just point is I hate you.
Yeah.
I really don't know how I feel about working out with you ever again. And I'm saying with like very open to the definition because it is via Zoom, so whatever it is.
Anytime we do something like working out wise, it's going to be intense.
Pause. I mean
Ain't no pause. I
it's
said working out.
it's cool. It's cool that it's intense, but 6 hours of push-ups, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that with you.
You're not gonna do that again. Did you do that again?
No, I haven't in a long time.
I wonder why.
Just because that's not something you do that often. That's more just like a challenge, just to push yourself.
Yeah, take a vacation day to do that challenge. Because you need the time of the day. Yo, but let's wrap up the the podcast because this took a weird turn and I feel like we might have enough time. You already know. You can find us on social media, Colab Gem on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. You can also find me and Dar'rell everywhere. I'm not gonna bother with our socials because mine are great and his are, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But you can find us both on social media, so feel free to look us up. We have done podcasts with 1 hour. We have done podcasts with 30 minutes. Let us know. Obviously, it depends on the subject, but let us know what you prefer. If you like the longer ones or the short ones, yeah. And we might completely disregard that feedback or take it into account. We'll see. No, but do give us feedback on the episodes if you haven't already. Hit us up on the DMs or the email. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got. You got anything you want to share?
Nope, not
Closing
at all.
thoughts? Not at all. It's been your boy, Dar'rell Banks.
And the plan B.
Throw that curveball.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And we'll catch you next week.
Peace, everybody.
Peace out.